You do not approach your oppressor with calmness. It is time people became radical about things. I know there are different types of feminism, and it is okay if you are not a radical feminist. And I think it is not fair if you water down the other types of approaches. What has gentle feminism brought to women? Thank you for your question, my brother. Let me approach this. So you said that you cannot approach your oppressor with calmness, right? I understand why you feel this way, but I always like to approach this from the principle that feminism is not one emotional temperature and the principle that context matters. So, some contexts require fire, especially where brutality is happening. Your reality may be different from mine, and that difference is valid, right? So, because I speak with calmness does not equate weakness. I do not speak calm because I am naive. I speak calm because I have lived the opposite of this calmness and I do not want it anymore. I used to be angry, reactive, hyper vigilant, and I used to let the algorithm radicalize me. It made me sick, it made me paranoid. I choose not to live my life from there anymore. If you see it as me watering down, I'm sorry, that is your interpretation. And one principle I live by is how you interpret a message is based on your experience, your lived, and your lenses. For example, where I live, I've lived here for 8 years. I have lived here without experiencing theft or harm. But other people have lived here experiencing harm and theft. And how have I helped them? I make sure I show up for meetings in the area. I pay monies where it needs to be paid to make sure that we make the place safer because other people experience it differently. And it doesn't mean that somebody has experienced, I will not experience. It does not mean that. I may experience it, but the way I choose to approach it is different. So, this is what I'm saying. Multiple realities coexist. Context shapes methods. Calmness is simply the method I have chosen because it matches my lived reality and my well being. You also asked another question that what has gentle feminism brought to women? My brother, I live by this principle. Methods must match the message. Liberation cannot mirror oppression. Gentle feminism has brought legal reforms, education access, domestic violence laws, workplace protections, maternal health reforms, structural policy changes across the world. Let me give you an example. Kunedu Ajiman Rawlings used her privilege, used her marriage to President Rawlings to make sure that women like me have access to bank accounts. She did not rage. She had where she raged, but she used diplomacy, and it is a choice. So radical methods have achieved many things. Oh Lord, I know this too well. But you see, both methods matter because I am not saying that one method is higher than another. I'm saying this is what I choose and this is what I am speaking about because my perspective also matter. Because no one method should erase another. What I refuse is the idea that anger is the only legitimate feminism tool. Because when liberation begins to mirror oppression, it stops being liberation. I choose a method that aligns with my health, my context, and my spirit. If I find myself in a different context, that is why I say context matter. You will see the anger. You would experience it. Whoever has to experience it will experience it. But once my context is different, my mental health is different, I choose what aligns with me. And if somebody reads it as it being indifferent, I will repeat again. It is you interpreting it through your lens, not my lens. You also said that you cannot cuddle oppressors. I approach this from this principle. Power without accountability becomes harm. Respect is a non-negotiable tool. This part of your comment is directed straight at me and at anyone who thinks like me. And let me respond to it directly. Speaking gently, it is not cuddling oppressors. It is choosing a strategy that does not destroy my mental health. And I must say this. Last year, there was a life you were on. You were bringing nuance to a certain context. I will never forget this situation when it comes to you because it was one of the things that I have kept close to my heart. You are a strong ally of feminists. You were offering a different angle. You were explaining something. I've forgotten what it was. And there was a feminist who insulted you and went all ballistic. And I remember you were very hurt. She denigrated you. She shut you down simply because you were not speaking her emotional temperature. I hope you remember. That was wrong. That was harmful. It violated feminist principles. She was using her power without accountability. She was mirroring the very oppression she claimed to fight. I understand how she was triggered, whatever triggered her, but I have come to realize that your triggers are yours to deal with. So I say respect is a non-negotiable feminist tool, even in disagreement. You say people need to be radical. This is my principle. Multiple realities can coexist. Feminism is not one emotional temperature, I have said earlier. Yes, some people need radical tools for radical conditions. You have every right to choose your stance, my brother. But others live in different contexts, with different histories and different emotional capacities. That difference does not make them lesser feminists. I had to agree with this. I had to face my ego and say it's the truth. So my calmness is not passivity. It is a conscious discipline I have chosen. It is my method and it is valid. We should not water down radical feminists, you said. Context matters, methods must match message. I am not watering down anybody. I am simply reminding young feminists and young allies, especially those who only practice their feminism online. I say this respectfully, not to let the algorithm push them into panic, paranoia, and unnecessary hostility. Online feminism is documented to be radicalizing women in ways that do not match their lived realities. I have had to recognize this. People start adopting the emotions of strangers instead of living their truth. So I speak for young women. You don't even need to call yourself a feminist or call yourself an ally, but you recognize the principles. And for male allies who are joining the movement without understanding that tone is a choice, and every method you choose carries consequences. So I speak for those people who do not want to be dragged into emotional temperatures that do not belong to them. So you have every right to your stance, my brother. I honor it. I am not your enemy. You are not mine. You are a strong ally and I know you. We simply stand in different contexts, different realities, and different methods. And conscious feminism teaches me that this diversity is not a threat, it is a strength. We do not need to fight each other to fight the system. We can disagree without destroying one another. We can hold multiple truths without erasing somebody's pain. And that is why I choose the tone I choose, because it aligns with who I am. It aligns with where I am. It aligns with how I have healed. It aligns with what I believe the feminist community should look like. It does not define how it should look like. And multiple realities can exist.